Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching NDTV and this is Battle for States, a show where we track elections and their impact very closely. The BJP on Wednesday accused Congress leader Priyanka Gandhi Vadra of invoking the personal religious devotion of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to make false claims during her poll campaign in Rajasthan. The party has urged the Election Commission to take action against her. A BJP delegation including Union Ministers Hardeep Singh Puri and Arjun Ram Meghwal and party leaders Anil Baluni and Om Pathak submitted a complaint to the Election Commission to take appropriate legal action against the Congress General Secretary. Now, the BJP noted in its submission that Priyanka Gandhi told a public meeting in Dausa in Rajasthan on October 20th that she saw on TV that when an envelope of donation was made by Prime Minister Narendra Modi at a temple, when it was opened, it carried only Rs 21. The BJP has said that the Congress leader's remarks were fake and they violated the Indian Penal Code and also Representation of People Act. Now, the Congress in turn across party-ruled states including Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan has filed multiple complaints against the BJP leaders for issuing statements that it termed as false. Meanwhile, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra was in Junjunu in Rajasthan today. She was addressing her third rally in the state. She has earlier been to places like Tonk and Dausa in Rajasthan. The Congress has also said that if the party is re-elected in the state, cooking gas cylinders will be given to 1.5 crore families at Rs 500 and women heads of poor families will be given an annual income support of Rs 10,000. Now, the Congress in both Madhya Pradesh and Telangana has pitched its election campaign around 5 guarantees, which include monthly income support to every woman in the state, an LPG cylinder to each household at Rs 500, 100 units of electricity free, waiving of farmer loans, among other things. Let me go across to my colleague Sunil Prabhu to understand the Congress strategy in different states. Sunil, first tell me about the Congress and the BJP both writing to the Election Commission with complaints against each other, and what are the statements that they've issued?
Well, as you are well aware and as you noted, this is now a season of political complaints. This is a season of complaints where the Election Commission headquarters, Nirvachan Sadan, becomes a calling point where every political leader from the law minister who actually administers the Election Commission and whose jurisdiction it comes under, also being made to go from the BJP, representing the BJP, to complain. The Congress, on its part, having its former law minister Salman Khurshid to go with its series of complaints. The big issue actually is the role of the Election Commission, whether it will ensure a free and fair election. This is a season of political complaints. There will be these charges. They will have to look at the substance of those charges, whether there is a basis for it, whether there are precedents, and whether they can act. And it's in this backdrop, both complaints will have to be looked at its entirety. But the focus in the recent past has been on the role of the Election Commission and whether it is a fair umpire. Because we have seen political parties raising their objections on the Election Commission, on its question of propriety and its question of fairness. And it's in this regard that we will wait to see what eventually comes out from both these complaints of the BJP against Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, of the Congress's complaint against the Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, as well as the Assam Chief Minister, Mr. Hemanta Biswal Sharma, as well as, of course, on the issue of conduct rules using armed forces as well as central government employees to propagate the union government's programs, and other complaints against other candidates in Madhya Pradesh and elsewhere. Right. So we'll wait to see what the Election Commission does on these important complaints.
Right. Sunil, let's also talk about Priyanka Gandhi's visit to Rajasthan today. Today was Priyanka Gandhi's third visit to the state as part of the election campaign. What are the key announcements that the party has made today? And clearly there seems to be a lot of emphasis on guarantees, something that the party focused on in Karnataka and something that the BJP has been criticizing, including the Prime Minister.
So that's become the template, as you rightly pointed out. Karnataka, in fact, even in Rajasthan, the fact that, they have gone to the right to health care to ensure people actually get benefit in terms of health schemes at the grassroots level. Today was, of course, another occasion to ensure that the people who are suffering from rising prices, an assurance in terms of, the LPG cylinders, which has become a huge issue, in fact, even prompting the Narendra Modi government to reduce it across the board by over 200, and then even in the Ujjwala scheme from 200 to further increase of another 100 to 300 to ensure that the poorest of the poor don't get affected by the rising prices. And then, of course, promises to the women of at least 10,000 rupees. So this has become a new template. This has become a template which has shown results. These are promises which the Congress, with its years of governance, has been able to show. We've seen that in Karnataka, and we'll have to wait and see what role it plays in these elections, be it in Madhya Pradesh, in Telangana, in Rajasthan, which are critical for the Congress party in terms of its revival if it has to take on the BJP-led Narendra Modi government in 2024.
Right. So meanwhile, in Madhya Pradesh, it looks like the Congress is having trouble with its ticket distribution, because today the party changed 4 of its candidates after announcing candidates for all 230 seats for the state assembly elections that are scheduled on 17th November. Now, all this happened after protests by workers, and tickets have been given to those who have been denied the same earlier. Sunil, it's clear that in Madhya Pradesh, the Congress is not willing to take any chance and has been fielding tried and tested candidates, even the ones that have lost recent elections. How do you see today's event of the party changing candidates after announcing other names?
So there's a new, thinking in the Congress party, and right now it is the role of Sunil Kunigal and the, surveys that come out. That's the basis on which the CSC decides seats. What has happened today in those 4 seats, and if we break it down, it's 2 sitting MLAs who were denied the tickets have been given the ticket. They were not given the ticket, so now those 2 sitting MLAs have once again, based on the feedback that has been received, given back those seats. The other 2, of course, is because of the fact, and these are in Scindia-dominated areas where they have been able to get and see that the situation hasn't been good, and they needed to have more formidable, candidates who will be, and they look at the possibility, as I said, of winnability. It's not about quotas anymore. It's more about winnability. It's based on data sciences that have been deployed by the, election management team of the Congress, and it's on that basis that they have decided. Of course, this is a do-or-die battle for the Congress in Madhya Pradesh. They've been out of power. They lost, actually, because of Mr. Scindia shifting to the BJP. They feel it's their opportunity, and it's a massive state. It's the largest state in India, and the Congress in a do-or-die battle in that state to try to retrieve the ground from where it lost the last time round.
Right. Thank you, Sunil, for joining us with those insights on Congress strategy in Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. Now, let's go to Telangana. In Telangana, which is another poll-bound state, Telangana saw an interesting political twist today. Former Telangana MLA Komati Rajagopal Reddy, who quit the Congress last year and joined the BJP, is set to return to the Congress now, weeks ahead of the assembly polls. He has said that his aim now is to trounce the KCR government in Telangana. He's also said that people's mood in the state is in favor of the Congress now. Let me go across to my colleague Uma to get more details on this. Uma, Mr. Rajagopal Reddy made headlines in August last year. We all watched the Munugodu election very closely. He had quit the Congress. He joined the BJP. Munugodu was a constituency that the Congress held for many years. Now, all the 3 parties were very serious about it. How is the BJP viewing Mr. Reddy's exit from the party?
You would recall, Vasudha, that in 2022 August, when Mr. Rajagopal Reddy had quit, at that time the criticism against him was that he had got a contract for his son, an 18,000 crore rupees contract, and that's what the Congress itself had alleged at that time, and said that that's why he's under pressure and he's quitting and joining the BJP. But now, what does Revant Reddy say about it? No word yet on that. But what I must point out is that Rajagopal Reddy, even as he is quitting from the BJP, in fact said that he has full faith in the leadership of Mr. Narendra Modi and the leadership of Mr. Amit Shah as well. And while saying that, he says the reason he is coming to the Congress is because he feels that the people of Telangana now want to vote in the Congress and vote out a KCR, and he believes that action against KCR is required, and in order to be able to get KCR out of power in Telangana and to add to the people's wishes that KCR should be trounced, and that's the reason why he's making this shift from the BJP back into the Congress. So it's a ghar wapsi for Rajgopal Reddy, whose brother also happens to be a Bongir MP of the Congress and is going to be contesting the assembly election like the other MPs from Telangana of the Congress are also going to be doing. Of course, 3 MPs from the BJP in Telangana are also going to be contesting the assembly elections. That apart, one other development that we must perhaps talk about is Pawan Kalyan being asked to come to Delhi today and meet with Mr. Amit Shah. And what Mr. Pawan Kalyan had done just a few days ago, as we know, he's part of the NDA, the Janasena very much a part of the NDA, but he had very dramatically announced on September 9, saying that he is going to be, when he went to meet Chandrababu Naidu in prison, and he had come out of the Mahendravaram prison and had announced that he is going to be fighting the elections along with the Telugu Desam in Andhra Pradesh, and he has been trying to get the BJP, TDP and the Janasena together. But the meeting today was about the Telangana elections, and what we understand is that the BJP would like the Janasena to be fighting along with them in Telangana itself, and that can add to the votes of the BJP, of course, because even though the Janasena party has not been active here, he as a active politician is popular among the youth here, and they are hoping that 2,000 to 5,000 votes in every constituency may not make a difference to the outcome of the election in terms of BJP victories, but it will certainly take away from the anti-BRS vote that may otherwise go to the Congress. And this at a time, last point, Vasudha, this at a time when the Telugu Desam seems disinclined to actually contest in the TDP in the Telangana elections, even though Chandrababu Naidu in August had declared that they would be contesting all 119 seats. Of course, a lot has changed after that with him going to jail, and the priorities of the party have changed. Back to you.
Right. Thank you, Uma Sudhir, for joining us with those details. Let us look at the other story I wanted to speak about tonight. Last month, right after the special session of the Parliament, the centre brought back the spotlight, the idea of one nation, one election. It constituted a committee under the chairmanship of former President Ram Nath Kovind to give a report on electoral reform to end the existing cycle of Indian elections throughout the year. Now, the Law Commission, we hear, would present its views to the high-powered panel, which in some ways sets the ball rolling on the implementation of this idea that of course has many logistical challenges and political implications. We have with us former CEC S.Y. Qureshi, who will tell us about the logistical constraints on the idea of one nation, one poll, and of course the feasibility. Thank you, Mr. Qureshi, for speaking to NDTV. Is there a practical roadmap, sir, and is there a framework even possible for these simultaneous elections? And do you see this government going ahead with the idea sooner or later?
Well, obviously, the government seems determined to do it, and the latest formation of the committee and the Law Commission report seem to indicate that they have made up their mind, and come what may, they want to enforce it. So, but I'll leave that aside as a part of politics. But the logistically, whether it is a feasible proposition for the Election Commission, I'll just only focus on that. Well, logistically, it is feasible, provided the necessary time is given. Because what is required, suppose obviously we are not talking of the election next month, we are perhaps talking in terms of the next election, 2024 general election. So, for that, we need 3 times the number of EVMs. Currently, we have 20 lakh EVMs, and if all 3 the tiers of democracy will be going to the poll. So that means we need roughly 3 times the EVM, about 60 lakh, or shall we say 50, 55 lakh. Now, whether the 2 factories, the 2 companies which make the machines for us will be in a position to deliver those machines in time, that is the question. So let us see. Secondly, Election Commission will require a little more staff. At the moment, in a polling station, we have a configuration of 5 people. But if there are 2 other elections also, there is an estimate that 2 more people will be required. Now, 2 more people every polling station means 20 lakh people, which is a big number. Already, our experience has been the way the number of polling stations have been increasing, the staff has been falling short. the law required that we will only take government servants. So we had to change the law about 10-15 years ago to include the banking staff and also the universities, the staff. So after that, we have been barely managing. Now, finding 20 lakh more people will be the other logistical challenge.
Right. Sir, there is a very strong argument that, there will be continuity in policies and welfare when governments don't have to face elections every 5 years. But of course, the flip side is that there's also an assumption that because elections are held every often, lawmakers are also held accountable. What are your views on both of these arguments, sir?
Yes, actually, I have spoken about it many times. I've written about it many times. I say there are good points and bad points of the proposal. The good points being that, the voter is the same for all three elections. The polling station is the same. The which conducts the election, the administration, district administration is the same. Security apparatus is the same. Once we have set up a polling booth and secured it for you as a voter, all you need to do, instead of pressing just one button for one election, you will be pressing three buttons on three machines, and you would have chosen your three representatives at three levels. Now, this is logistically a good idea, and Election Commission would love it, because once they will conduct the elections, and for 4 years they'll have nothing to do. They will enjoy life. They will play golf and wait for the next election 5 years later. But Election Commission's convenience can never be the consideration. Now, second is media. Now, media, you will is always happy when there are more elections, because it gives you more activity. Otherwise, you will get bored for 5 years. So, therefore, the media cannot be the complainant. Only the political leadership at the top, which has to be present everywhere, like the Election Commission has to be present everywhere. It is only their issue. So, therefore, positive side is it that the downside is that it will require a constitutional amendment, 5 articles of the Constitution, amendment of the 10th schedule, all these things, so that you can synchronize the election. And then what is the foolproof formula which this new committee will come up with? We are all waiting with bated breath to see what magic formula they have. For the last 10 years, we have not been able to find a formula. The debate has been going on at all levels. Several committees have gone into it. Now, let us wait and see.
Thank you, Mr. Qureshi, for joining us with those insights. Let's go across to my colleague Arvind Gunasekar now. He has some breaking news on Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, who was part of the poll panel, but of course he didn't join the panel. So Arvind, tell us what details do you have? What is it that you're learning from your sources?
Vasudha, the second meeting of the One Nation, One Election committee held today. It was chaired by former President Ramnath Kovind, who is also the chairperson of this particular committee. Home Minister Amit Shah, along with other members of the committee, attended today's meeting. And at the outset of this meeting, in the first meeting, some of the decisions were taken. So those decisions, including the minutes of the meetings, minutes of the meeting, was ratified in today's meeting. So that was the start of today's meeting. Apart from that, the committee has also decided to write to all the 6 national parties, along with 33 state parties, along with 7 registered unrecognized political parties, asking for their views on this One Nation, One election subject. So all the political parties have been asked to submit their response in written to the committee. Alongside, the committee has also unanimously taken 2 decisions. One, the committee has also cleared the budgetary allocation for this particular committee meetings, though this particular committee is currently administratively held under the Ministry of Law and Justice, but the committee has also cleared the proposal for budgetary allocation. But a very important decision in this today's meeting was that when the committee was formed, leader of opposition, or the single largest party in Lok Sabha, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, was made a member of this particular committee. So Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary had written to the committee saying that he cannot be part of the committee. So today that has been taken officially on record, and, and his resignation has been accepted. That means that he would not be part of the committee officially anymore. So apart from him, the other members of the committee will be forming the quorum for the further meetings.
Right. So Arvind, the high-level committee on One Nation, One Election met with the Law Commission today to discuss the roadmap roadmap to implement the same. Tell us also about the roadmap, the possible roadmap. You're saying that the Law Commission could actually be reaching out to different parties, right? So what is the possible roadmap that you see in the next coming months?
So, in second meeting today, the Law Commission headed by Law Commission Chairman, retired Justice Rituraj Avasthi, submitted a presentation to the committee about the various amendments that have to be incorporated in order to implement this one nation, one poll. So, that particular presentation was taken on record by this particular high-level committee. So, alongside, the committee has also decided to seek the views of the stakeholders in this particular subject, political parties being the main stakeholders in this particular subject. That's where the committee has decided to get the views of all the political parties. Earlier, what we are being told is that the committee has already written to almost 6 national parties along with 33 state political parties, recognized national parties and state political parties. Alongside also 7 registered unrecognized political parties have also been called in to submit their views on this particular subject. One, the Law Commission has given its ways how to implement this particular one nation, one poll with various amendments to the constitution, and then the committee has also sought the views of the stakeholders. Once their views have been incorporated, then the committee will come up with its own report incorporating the views of the political parties alongside the presentation that has been made by the Law Commission. So post which we can expect the high level committee to submit its report to the President of India.
Right. Thank you, Arvind, with those details. That was my colleague Arvind Gunesekaran telling us about how the high-powered committee formed under Ramnath Kovind is now reaching out to different parties to basically understand what their viewpoint on one nation, one election is. Let's also go to Mr. Vikas Singh right now. He is a senior advocate of in the Supreme Court. Sir, what is your understanding of this timeline on one nation, one election? What is the feasibility of this, and do you really think that it could become a reality in the coming months?
Well, feasibility is, a domain of the Election Commission, so I will not comment on that. I think you had one of the former CECs who said that it may not be possible in this 2024 election. But legally, it is not possible now because unless you amend the constitution and provide for a fixed tenure for the parliament as well as for the state legislatures, because the constitution as it stands today says that it will be 5 years or until dissolved earlier. So that is why this since 1967, a lot of these assemblies have been getting dissolved earlier, and that is why they've had separate time lines for their elections, and that is why we have a situation where there are so many elections happening all the year round. And I personally feel that this is a very correct thing to do, to have one nation, one vote, because it will be cutting down the expenditure is one part. It will be not compromising on our security forces, because if you see every time an election is held, our security personnel, they are not meant to be conducting elections, but they are drawn out from their regular duties to help in the logistics of conducting elections. And God forbid if something like Israel were to happen to India, and if our security forces are, utilized elsewhere when they should be doing their job of, providing security in the regular course, then you are actually opening more vulnerable time zones for the country by having this kind of election on having all the year round. So you will have to have firstly a constitutional amendment. Then you'll have to actually maybe amend the 9th schedule also, which talks of the defection, anti-defection. And maybe you can also provide for having a defection for a group which decides to form a government. Or you can have a system where you can't have a no confidence motion against a political party unless you have a vote of confidence as well simultaneously, which is, I believe, the recommendation of the Law Commission also, the last recommendation of the Law Commission. So there has to be a method by which you have to ensure, because you will appreciate that as far as the states are concerned, there can be a president's rule, but there can't be a president's rule at the center. There is no provision for a president's rule at the center. So at the center, we will have to have a full 5-year term, happen what may. And even in the states, the idea is not to have a president's rule and continue for 5 years, but to ensure that the assemblies, state assemblies, function for the full 5 years without constitutionally, even if somebody is trying to pull the rug under your feet, still the government will remain for these 5 years. So these are the challenges which the constitution makers will have to grapple with when they bring out these constitutional amendments. And I'm sure it is definitely feasible to do it. But as far as timeline is concerned, I don't think it is possible in 24. Because I agree with Mr. Qureshi, the preparation for a one nation, one vote will be a very long drawn preparation, and for which probably we don't have time for this 2024. But it's definitely a good time to start this subject and move in this direction as soon as possible.
Mr. Singh, what kind of care should the Election Commission as the poll body be taking? Because I've been reading about this large scale, the magnitude of acquisition of VVPATs and all. What care should the Election Commission be taking, to ensure that at least in terms of security of the country and of course the logistical challenges are sort of addressed?
So as far as the security issue is concerned or the logistical issues are concerned, when you have simultaneous polling for the assembly and for the parliament in the same constituency, the voters will be the same. So for instance, if a parliament election is going on and there are 7 assembly constituencies included in that parliament, or 10 assembly constituencies, so whichever assembly constituency is voting for the parliament will simultaneously vote for the assembly as well. So that logistically will become a easy exercise, but at the same time you'll require so many extra VVPATs, which will those machines which will count the votes. So because you'll have to have one for the parliament and one for the assembly kept in the same polling booth. So security will not be much of an issue because the same security apparatus will be able to conduct both the elections. But the machines will be required, the extra machines will be required. Even the polling staff will not be required as are required for 2 separate elections, because here it will be just a small accretion to the existing polling staff which will be able to handle both these elections. So the number of people who will be actually handling the elections will not grow. Otherwise, if you have this election twice over, if you require 10 people in a booth, you'll require 10 again in the next time. Whereas if you require 10 in a booth, probably 12 and do the elections together. So those are great advantages of doing. Plus, all these elections, I'm going around all over the year, there is this code of conduct which kicks in and development activity also stops. So all that will be taken care of.
Yes,
that will be
Yes, we're running short of time. Thank you, Mr. Singh, for joining us. That's all the time we have for you in the Battle for States. Thank you for watching NDTV. More news and updates on the other side.